Blue Chip Technologies officially opened in Uganda. The organizers for extending an invitation to me and all of us. We are having parliamentary sessions, so I jumped out of Parliament, and the committee responsible for ICT and national guidance is presenting a report because we are in the budgeting season. So you will permit me to greet you briefly, and then I will escape before the end of the session because we are continuing Parliament work and I have to defend the budget for my sector. Let me start by thanking all of you for finding time to come and be at this very important meeting where our friends are introducing the blue chip technologies and where we have come to do the official launch. As we all know, the world is moving and is moving very fast, and things are changing for the better. When I scan through the room, most of you or all of us here are adults, and when we look back, we can see that how the situation was 20, 30 years ago is very different from the way it is now in many ways. Because technology is changing. There are many developments getting on board. These days we speak of the fourth industrial revolution. Maybe in some societies they are talking of moving into the fifth industrial revolution, moving from digital services to intelligent services. And when we speak of the fourth industrial revolution, we definitely mean we have had past revolutions, first, second, third, and fourth. Yes. And in the current fourth industrial revolution, we are speaking to the cutting-edge technologies which are getting on board, and where technology is playing a very central role in the socio-economic transformation of society. And where we are, we cannot wish away technology. Whether you hide your head in the sand, you cannot switch. Whether you say, no, me, I have nothing to do with technology, we will find you wherever you are, and you will be compelled to be part of this revolution. So we have no option but to embrace and integrate technology in whatever we do. In Uganda here, when mobile phones came on board, there are friends of mine who said, me, I will never carry a phone. And they were sitting in offices, said, for me, I will not. I will just continue using a landline. When I leave office, I want to be off. I don't want anyone to disturb me on phone. But a few years later, I saw them carrying even more than one phone. Because it became inevitable that the communication landscape had changed, and carrying a phone was no longer a status symbol, but a tool which enables you to be effective and functional. So technology has come to stay, and we must embrace it. The position I hold is an elective position, so I look for votes in the communities. Asa here is my voter. I hope you are registered. You have updated your registration. And deep in the villages, you will find all the women and all the men having smartphones. At times when you address them and they say, oh, we are thirsty, we want you to buy us a soda, and you pretend you don't have money. Say, I don't have money, I don't carry card. Say, no, but our phones are registered on mobile money. Even the old people will tell you, no, you don't have to give us cash. You can just make a transfer on one of our phones and you shall get the cash. So they also know that technology has penetrated and reached everywhere. So on an occasion like this, when we receive our friends launching these technologies, it's an exciting moment, and we are thrilled that we are coming to add a building block on our journey of digital transformation in this country. Now, the President of Uganda in 2006 established the ministry responsible for ICT. And we have the main mandate of facilitating digital transformation in this country. And I can't say we are making progress, but I think we still have a lot of work to do. Much as I speak of having gone through the first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, third, now fourth, you need to ask a question: where is the position of sub-Saharan Africa in all these revolutions, in this journey? Most often, you find we are lagging behind. The other part of the world is moving fast, embracing these technologies, and we struggle to catch up as sub-Saharan Africa. Take an example of, say, the second industrial revolution, and you can check the periods when these revolutions were in town. The second industrial revolution, one of the major technologies that came on board was electricity. But up to now, I am still struggling to extend electricity in the many parts of my constituency. But this is a novel technology which, in many developed countries, is not an issue. It's not an issue. But here we still struggle to extend power to even hospitals, schools, communities, and households in our communities. And of course, when I say this happens in my constituency, it speaks to what happens all over Africa. Whether you go to West Africa or Southern Africa, here in East Africa, the situation is more or less the same. So if we are struggling to catch up with discoveries of the second industrial revolution, how about now the fourth? And our resolve as governments in Africa is that we must jump frog and move faster than the way we have done in the past to catch up with these cutting-edge technologies. Because, believe it or not, for any discipline, for any area of development, technology must be central to the workings of that discipline in order to have efficiency and better outcomes. Whether you speak of health, yesterday I was speaking to health workers, the Catholic medical services, and we were speaking the question of technology and healthcare delivery. And I was telling them, you cannot run away from technology being part of the process to improve delivery of healthcare in this country and elsewhere. When I was taught medicine many years ago, I was telling them we were being taught on cadavers. A cadaver is a dead body when we are studying anatomy. But today there are computer simulations which can be used to teach medical students, which deliver the message even much better than the human cadavers. But you will find our old professors finding it difficult to embrace these technologies. But this is where the world is moving. So we must all be prepared for these changes in order for us to move. Whether you speak of agriculture, you need to integrate ICT and these technologies in order to bring a revolution in agriculture. Otherwise, if we stick to traditional and rudimentary means of production in agriculture, then we shall not make progress. Look at education. When most of us were going to university meant leaving your rural area, boarding a bus or any other means of transport, coming to the university, sitting in the lecture room, the professor standing in front of you and delivering a lecture. But now, part of ICT, it doesn't have to be like that. You can sit here in the comfort of your sitting room and attain your degree from a university in America or China or Europe or even here in Uganda. And it will still be as a good degree as the one you have attained through the lecture room. So we must mobilize ourselves to be ready for these changes, because the changes are for the better and technology has come, and therefore we cannot run away from it. And therefore we want to welcome our friends. I've just been asking them where else they are, and from the map which is on this booklet, then Ireland, Nigeria, Ghana, DRC, South Africa, Zambia, Kenya, Ethiopia, and now Uganda. Welcome to Uganda, welcome to the Pearl of Africa. One of the issues we are grappling with is that with this digital revolution, there is a huge digital divide between what I would call the global north and the south. And we have a cardinal responsibility to narrow or remove this gap. So the question is, what do we need to do as Africa, as Uganda, to narrow this gap so that we are part of this technology revolution? And initiatives like this, where entities like blue chip technologies are coming into our countries, is one way of addressing those kinds of gaps. As a ministry, as a country, we've been trying our level best to ensure that we create an environment, we create an ecosystem which is supportive and that promotes digital transformation. One of the areas we've been addressing is the question of infrastructure, digital infrastructure. And we've been laying the national backbone infrastructure, the optic fiber. Of course, we're appreciating that Uganda is a land-linked country. We get our NBI through the Indian Ocean, through Kenya, Uganda. We've recently linked it with the Tanzanian network. We've covered like half of the country, but thankfully we now have resources to extend this fiber to the rest of the country so that we can attain connectivity from corner to corner, from Karamoja to Kigezi, from West Nile to Busia. We would want the NBI to cover the whole country, and also we do last mile connections. So we are going into that. We've also been grappling with the issue of the cost of internet, because technologies like these require a supportive ecosystem, a supportive environment. When we started, the Commissioner Kenneth will tell you the cost of government-provided internet was very high. I think around 2016, it was about $300 per megabyte per second a month. We've since reduced it to 35. The other day I was in Tanzania and I made that one. I said, we have reduced it. And the audience asked me, and you think that one is cheap? Of course, it's still very high, but comparing with where we have come from, it has been coming down, and the government provided internet, now on average, being at 35, but the national one, when you put in the private sector provided internet, the average is 45. So government is doing very well. But we must do everything possible to make the cost of internet cheaper and affordable, so that we can be able to do all these transactions using ICT. Because like I'm saying, it is now possible to do online teaching and learning, but that requires internet and data to be affordable. You can now order, if you're a business person, your items from China, from Europe, without flying there, but you can order online and things are delivered, but that requires internet and data services to be affordable. So everything possible has to be done to make it possible for us to operate using digital services, and that requires addressing the question of cost of internet and data. And I want to assure you that the ministry and the government, we are trying everything possible, exploring all measures to ensure that the cost can come down. We've also been trying to address the cost of smart devices. One of the challenges we face and why penetration of ICT is still limited is that the smart devices, smartphones, computers, laptops, iPads, books, and the like, in my view, still costly for an ordinary Ugandan. But we've been trying to do our best to bring down the cost. Our estimates in the ministry indicate that about 3-4 years ago, the average cost of a smartphone was about 1 million. But we have now brought it down to 150,000. You can now get a smartphone at 150,000 Uganda shillings. And our target in the next 2-3 years is to bring the cost down to about 40,000. And we are pursuing a number of measures to that effect. For instance, right now within the government, we are discussing the budget and we are tackling the issue of taxes. We are interrogating the taxation regime with a view of looking at the taxes which are a bottleneck in this area. And therefore, we've been engaging the Ministry of Finance and the government as the Ministry for ICT so that we remove that tax barrier, and that we believe will bring down the cost of these devices. But also, we think when we extend fiber, MPI, and also get more people get hooked on the internet, the cost of internet will come down, but also that should be able to address the cost of the devices. I must say that as ministers of ICT in Africa, particularly the East African region, we are united and we network. And one of the areas which we are engaging with governments and persuading them to come and manufacture and or assemble these gadgets from within the region. Because while we are talking about taxes and the high cost, majority of these technologies, these devices are imported from outside. And we do believe that if these are assembled here, if they are manufactured here in Uganda or within the region, then the cost will definitely come down. And there is evidence to this. We have a company in Mbale, Chinese company, that is manufacturing phones. The other day I launched their phone, a smartphone, and definitely the cost is much lower compared to the cost of the phones which we also have another company which literally assembles smartphones, they do iPads, laptops, they assemble them. But almost all their products, I realize that they are being exported outside the country and the market is not as strong within Uganda. So I was telling them, you have to do a lot of marketing and advertising within the country. So I found boxes and boxes of their products will be exported to Morocco, to North Africa, and yet we also have demand here. And their phones are cheap. and of good quality in our view. So we think if we can attract many investors who can come and assemble or manufacture these devices from within the region, from Uganda here, then the cost of these devices should substantially come down, and that will speak to deepening the reach and the ability of Ugandans to afford mobile phones and smart technologies, and that will deepen the use of ICT services. I promise to speak less so that I rush back to Parliament, but when you speak to the community that constitutes your constituency, then you get excited and you get carried along the way. So I want, first of all, once again to thank and welcome Blue Chip Technologies and pledge our total support as a government, as a ministry. Please feel free to engage the ministry. If there are any issues you would want the sector, the ministry, the government to address, I usually tell people that people use that our doors are open, but for technology-related services like yours, we have no doors. We have no doors for you, so I won't say the door is open. There is no door. There is no door. You feel free to come and engage us. We shall give you all the support. And I would like to thank all of you because most of you are people in the industry of ICT. We want to thank you for the good work that you are doing, and count on us as a ministry, as government. We would need to get your views and ideas, like the issues we are raising of taxes, and as a ministry we would want to get feedback from you on what kind of measures should we take as a country, as a government, to address this issue of digital transformation. We are now writing and concluding the National Development Plan number 4, because we've been operating under the NDP3, which is coming to its conclusion, and we are now getting ushered into the 4th version of the National Development Plan. Let me hope the National Planning Authority has been engaging you. Have you been participating in these discussions? Because much as the development plan is driven by government, but the consultations and the processes leading to this document should be as participatory, as inclusive as possible. Because one of the programs is the digital transformation program, which is a major program under that plan. So may I ask whether, because you are the industry players, whether you've been part of that process of generating ideas and proposals and measures which should constitute that national plan. Because I want to believe that it's not us, the government, who just sit and talk to ourselves and then say, yes, now we have a plan. How many of you, by show of hand, have participated in any discussion to do with the development of the NDP4? Soon at this table, which is having even 3 members. Because I have taken this feedback to the National Planning Authority, which is leading us in that process, that it is not good enough for the government technocrats to just sit, you the authors, to just sit and speak to yourselves. Because ICT largely is private sector driven, much as we coordinate as government, but the players, the stakeholders, the partners are largely private sector, and therefore your involvement becomes very cardinal if we are to have a meaningful plan that speaks to the interests of Ugandans, but also addresses what should be addressed. So, just from a quick scan of your response, it now guides me that I should have an engagement with the National Planning Authority, that before we conclude the development of the plan, I think maybe more consultations can be made. And these days with technology, consultations can be in many forms. Even if you don't do a physical meeting, you can consult and get views from people using different platforms. So that one is a take home for me, and that's the message I will deliver. So with that, I once again welcome you. Thank you for this morning's discussion. Pledge total commitment and support through Chief Technologies. Welcome you warmly to Uganda, and on our side, as actors in this country, we shall do our best to give you support so that you prosper, so that you flourish, so that you succeed as you enter into our territory here in Uganda.